Hello, students. So, in this journey, we have been exploring different journeys of students, and today we have amongst us Anindya. A very warm welcome, Anindya, on SuperGrads YouTube channel. And as they say, don't tell your plans, just show them your results. And the interesting part of this particular episode is Anindya was exactly not preparing for IPM in the beginning. In the month of December, I clearly remember that particular month when we have interacted for the very first time, December 2021. He wasn't aware about the IPM program. At the same time, we were launching our IPM short batch. And Anindya was, student of IPM short batch of Supergrads that point of time. And then came a moment when his father calls me and tells me, Sir, I want that he should not be writing IIT exam. Instead, write IIM Rohtak's exam. And finally, he made his journey into IIM Indore. A very interesting journey. We are going to explore this particular journey while an interview. But before asking anything, let me ask his feeling because he was waiting for the mail from IIM Indore from a long time. And finally, he received an offer letter. How is the feeling in India now?
So the feeling is quite joyous and exhilarating. I'm more than anything, I'm feeling a lot relieved because incidentally I had to leave for the I am Rohtak just 2 days from now. So it was a very timely mail reception from I am Indore. Uh, I was feeling quite disappointed towards the latter stages because through various sources I was being informed that the people who were getting selected, they were just one or two ranks before me, and then to expect the admission would have been closed would be just like running for a race and missing the first prize by just 1 or 2 microseconds. So very joyous, exhilarated, and to be honest, very relieved first of all.
Great, Anindya. And in this journey, I think, along with you, I know your father, who has interacted with me so many times. In fact, one of our counseling member is also interacting with him on a regular basis. My mentor is interacting with you on the regular. So Anindya was one such student who used to call each and everyone from our team to seek a help because at the back of his brain, he had prepared for IIT for 1.5 years. And suddenly, one day came in when he thought of switching his career path towards management. But at that point of time, I think that was month of December, right, Aditya? That was month of December when you actually took the decision that you have to start the management preparations. The good part of his preparation work was that he was good at mathematics because of being from an IIT background. So Anindya, just tell me how did this journey begin at that point of time? Sorry, how did this journey begin that point of time, and how did it become the story then later? Yes.
So, sir, initially I had been preparing for engineering for almost 5 years from since class 8. The ultimate plan was always to do an MBA. So after BTech, the thing that I had to pursue an MBA was never very a thing to be doubted. But the only thing was the journey or the source through which you do the MBA. So when I came to know about IPM program, I immediately realized that it was a much better way to fulfill your dream of pursuing an education in management than the BTech plus MBA route, primarily because of two reasons. First is I've always enjoyed studying a diverse group of subjects. So I very really enjoyed my journey till class 10th, where we had to study a host of different subjects like SST, Hindi, and English. So the thing which attracted me initially was that we got to study a lot of subjects in the first 3 years of the program, which was very different to engineering, where there is only focus study towards one particular branch which you take in the college. The second was that I would get to interact with an amazing friend circle who would share me various insights since they would come from different backgrounds. So these were the two reasons which eventually made me shift my preparation towards IT.
I have a lot of questions to ask in this particular episode. But before we move to those questions, let us have a clear understanding. How did you prepare for mathematics and English? Because that's going to give an answer to a lot many students who are listening to you right now. And how should they prepare? I mean, what mistakes you committed at that point of time, and they should not repeat those ones.
So, sir, regarding mathematics and the logical reasoning part, since I was an enthusiastic NTSC aspirant in my class 10, a lot of the things which were asked in the IPM entrance test, I found them to be in common with the NTSC a particular set of questions. So, I revisited the books of my preparation of NTSC as well as the books which were provided to me by the SuperGrads team. And first of all decided to revise the formulas and the basic stuff, and then when I started solving the questions, initially yes, I felt that I was out of practice, but within 1 or 2 months I started feeling that I was living the journey of my class 10th again. So that is why I that is what made me ace the logical reasoning part.
Okay.
Regarding mathematics, since a large section of the mathematics was asked till class 10 and my base till class 10th was fortunately quite good, so I only decided to build up on my foundation on my mathematical base of class 10 rather than going for some fancy short tricks or formulas, and that made me is the mathematics section.
Right.
Regarding
It
English,
also
the
seems
only
that you were good at math earlier also. So that is something which we can comprehend from your talk as well. But verbal ability section, don't you think, it really raised a lot of eyebrows that particular day when the results came out. 112 was the cutoff. Nobody could predict that point of time. That in fact we could predict that it's going to go till 87, 88 or 90, 95, but 112 किसी ने नहीं सोचा था that point of time. So, were you preparing for English also? Were you good at English also from the beginning, or what exactly did you do that point of time?
Sir, I had a very good reading habit since my class third and fourth, so that part was taken care of. But the thing, fortunately, I realized the importance of verbal very early in the preparation, because what I used to analyze was that, especially in the Indore exam, the time for solving the mathematics portion is actually less in proportion to the number of questions asked. So even if a person is extraordinary in the mathematics section, due to the less time provided, he would not be able to solve much of the questions, and his difference between with a person who is average in mathematics would not be too high. It would be mostly 2 or 3 questions in the two sections. But the thing which can really provide a jack to your IPMAT Indore score, which plays a very important role in the overall selection process since it is of 65% weightage, the thing which actually kind of ensures the selection is the verbal part. So I realized that very early. So there were only two areas where I thought I needed to improve. First was, I think, the phrasal verb section, and the second was the vocabulary part.
All
So
right.
I started simultaneously along with the engineering preparation. Rather than doing mathematics and math specifically, I used to focus on these two subsections within the verbal ability part.
Great point being made. And in fact, a very good strategy. So, for someone who is intelligent enough, for someone who is good at mathematics and English, identifying which are my weaker areas and actually working on them only can be a really big help. And Anindya is giving this piece of advice from this particular forum and dice. One more important question. And in fact, I should be telling the entire thing which exactly happened. So I remember your father calling me n number of times on this particular talk. And the topic was, सर मुझे एक चीज बताइए आप आई एम रोहतक आईपीएम एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट रोहतक और आईआईटी जेई का एग्जाम सेम डे पर है मैं क्या करूं एंड आई वांट दैट अनिंद्य शुड बी राइटिंग आईपीएम एप सो फर्स्ट मैंने पहले इंटरेक्शन हुआ तो मैंने बोला कि किस तरफ ज्यादा अलाइंड है मैनेजमेंट साइड की इंजीनियरिंग साइड ही सेट की मैनेजमेंट साइड तो मैंने बोला फिर भी आप ये एक ऑप्शन रखिएगा कि आईआईटी जेई का और रोहतक का दोनों का पेपर आप दिलवाएं उससे तो अगर अगर एक दिन पे भी पढ़ रहा है तो मॉर्निंग आफ्टरनून का शिफ्ट है मैंने आईआईटी जेई की वेबसाइट पे जाके चेक किया था एंड आई थिंक कि दो शिफ्ट्स एक जगह पे थे एक जगह पे एक शिफ्ट था सो and then I'm getting a call a day before I'm Rohtak's examination. He's saying, ki, sir, it's in the same shift. What is your suggestion? I said, ki, are you sure he doesn't wish to do engineering in the future? He said, yes, I'm very sure. Then I said, go ahead with Rohtak. And that day, I'm sure that you missed the JEE exam, but that was worth it. So every journey has some kind of if and but और जब हम एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सीरीज तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स ने बताया मुझे कि वो इंदौर तो सिलेक्ट हो गए रोहतक नहीं हो पाए देयर वर सम स्टूडेंट्स जिनकी जर्नी ड्रॉप ईयर में स्टार्ट होती है नाउ दिस इज द कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट पिक्चर वेयर वन स्टूडेंट इज कमिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू गाइस He is completely aligned to engineering, but he one fine day he gets to know about IPM program and really wishes to study into it. Really wishes to get inside IIM Indore, and then finally makes big. Anindya, इंजीनियरिंग ड्रॉप कर कर मैनेजमेंट में जाने का जो सपना है, ठीक है, क्या ये अच्छा है? और अगर अच्छा है तो बाकी सारे स्टूडेंट्स जो अभी शायद इंजीनियरिंग के लिए पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं साथ साथ, क्या वो इंजीनियरिंग कंप्लीटली छोड़ दें इस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे एंड शुड फोकस ऑन मैनेजमेंट? योर टेक ऑन दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन.
Sir, my honest take on that would be actually to each his own. So it is very important to analyze your strengths and weaknesses first. In if someone feels that their ultimate goal is to pursue management education, then I think it is worthwhile to focus your attention towards IPM right from the start, rather than going through the engineering route, which is technically 1 year also longer. So the reason why I shifted was, first of all, it was actually also along with an emotional decision, a very cold and calculated decision also. Actually, I had been giving the Rohtak mocks quite regularly, in fact, more in frequency than the Indore mocks. What I realized was my score was significantly above than all the previous year cutoffs which were being asked. So there were almost 10% chances of me getting shortlisted for the interview process. On the other hand, in engineering, uh, I was performing well in engineering also, but since my ultimate goal was to then shift to IPM, and in Rohtak when I was scoring good in mocks, so why should I take the risk and only make Indore my only option by foregoing Rohtak, than to keep both as my option, that in case I don't get selected in Indore, I would still get an admission into an IIM Rohtak, which is
Sorry
a
for
very good
interrupting in
IIM.
between. I think I should appreciate your father over here because जैसे जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं तो आपके फादर की जो मेरी कॉन्वर्जेशन हुई है, बिकॉज वी हैव हैड लॉट मेनी कॉन्वर्जेशंस. सो राहुल सर, एक मुझे बात बताओ ना, अनिंदर किस तरीके से कर रहा है मॉक्स में, आपके हिसाब से इतना स्कोर ठीक रहेगा? सो आई यूज्ड टू गेट अ टेक्स्ट फ्रॉम हिम एवरी टाइम. So Anindya was a short student. Then he was very diligently writing each and every mock of IPM Astra. So we'll have a conversation over there also on IPM Astra thing. Then during the interview part, I used to get a call from his father as well. That point of time, also, do you think he'll get through? Do you think he'll get through? So a huge role being played by a parent over here because, and really, this is something which is worth mentioning via this particular episode because perhaps our dreams are not being seen by us, but by others as well. And on India's journey, or I think on India, right? How do you pronounce your name? On India, right?
Onindo.
Onindo, okay. In Onindo's journey, his father played a very, very crucial role. And okay, don't you think it was his dream as well, along with you, that point of time? And what was his role? And it's relevant over here to ask this particular question.
Sir, to be very frank, he saw the dream first, and I was kind of the person who followed it. So it was his vision primarily. It
Okay,
was him only who introduced me to the course. Otherwise, I would have never known that this thing like IPM exists.
all right. Okay, so this was the journey till aptitude test. Then journey began of the interviews, and that was also exciting. I think we've already floated one of your interviews on SuperGrads YouTube channel earlier as well. So in that journey, during that particular course, I remember we had given him many, many feedbacks. And I personally felt in the very first interview which I took that point of time, Onindo needs a personality change. And was that fruitful for you? And if you can help students, what exactly you did and what advice was given to you by our team that point of time?
So, sir, the main makeover which was advised to me by SuperGrads team was my personality needs to be a little more warm and affable. So, I from right from my childhood have have usually been a very introvert and shy kid who does speak, but kind of measure the words I am speaking before speaking any sentence. So, the advice which was given to me by you and the ma'am was that I first of all need to begin the interview with a smile on my face. And to be very honest, I took a lot of days to master the art, because initially when I thought of smiling, I used to forget the content matter which I was,
Oh,
trying to speak.
okay.
Yes. So that was the thing which I tried to master. Secondly, I kind of, when I initially couldn't answer one particular question, I had the tendency to stick into that question only, and the interview would be going forward, and I would still
Hmm.
be fretting over why I couldn't answer that earlier question. I should have answered that. So that also I kind of mastered that whichever questions I was not being able to answer, rather than being sad over why I couldn't answer that question, it was much more important to look forward and be in the moment of what the interviewer is asking you, to be very alert and vigilant.
All right, all right. Moving ahead, I think mentorship team has also been in touch with you throughout this particular journey. So I remember Akanksha uh, also getting calls from your father, you interacting with her. So did mentorship play a crucial role? I mean, because in fact, not only me, Akanksha was also involved over here. So mentorship ने कुछ change किया इस पर journey में?
Yes, sir, a lot. So the very decision I took of giving the IPMAT Rohtak exam was a lot due to the effective and timely mentorship provided by SuperGrads, because I don't think me and my father alone would have had the courage to take that decision. Secondly, mentorship played a lot of role in during the interview process also, regarding the timely scheduling of the mocks. I used to get informed much before in advance so that I could be prepared with my content. So Akancha ma'am's, Disha ma'am specifically, she was also very instrumental in the whole process. So yes, it played a very important role.
Great to see, hearing names. So, you know, everyone over here, Anil sir, Renu ma'am, Disha ma'am, Akanksha ma'am, everyone. Okay. So this is something because now everybody who is listening to you right now may be proud of you that, you know, our efforts did not go into vain. And really, you could make it to the second list of IIM Indore, but it is really very, very huge. In fact, let me ask one more question from Anindya because he exactly made into IPM Rohtak as well. So, how is the interview process of Rohtak and Indore different from each other? And I think we had bought that particular tinge in a preparation journey as well. So, did you feel that tinge exactly helped you at that point of time?
Sir, in my case, the Indore interview of my specifically went a little bit different, because my peers who gave the interview, they were all reporting on how the interview was quite rich on subject matter and how a lot of questions are going to be asked on PCM. So I was very ready with that particular thing. But, surprisingly, in my Indore interview, they didn't ask me a single question from PCM. There were
What
only
are you
two
saying?
application based
Okay.
questions which I couldn't answer.
Okay.
So that made the interview very different from the other people who gave it. Rohtak was a little more relaxed. They asked me some personal questions. There was an extempore. Whereas Indore was a slightly more frank and honest interview, where I had to stick to only what was needed to speak rather than blabbering over some soft points. So yes, they were different in that area.
It's quite evident. You know, Gayatri was making a very crucial point yesterday also when I was taking her interview. She told, you know, sir, एक बहुत important चीज है. Nobody can answer all the questions being asked by the panelist. They are actually judging your personality and you are being given marks on your personality immensely. And that's quite evident from Anindo's point as well, that, you know, he could not answer all the questions. But yes, he has made into the big IIM. Majority of the very good students who could make, you know, 260 plus marks or 267 marks also are not making into IIM Indore as per the reports which we are getting. Final advice to all those students who are listening to you right away and are giving examination in the year 2023 and 24.
uh, my final advice would be, focus on mocks a lot, because they end up boosting your score more than anything else. Give mocks, analyze them regularly, try and see the patterns of your errors. Don't get misguided upon standalone errors and think that you are weak in the entire topic as such. If you are particularly underperforming in a particular topic, then revisit that topic, the lectures of that particular class, revise the notes, and then attempt mocks again. So mocks are some things which, a thing which I would advise everyone to give regularly. Regarding interviews, since I gave interview a host of other institutions. So for instance, I was also selected in Nalsar, Nirma, and IFT also. So interview process of each institution is a little different. So instead of focusing on the interview process of one single institution, prepare simultaneously for everyone, and automatically you will be prepared for each one of them simultaneously. So that is something I would, you know,
Great
advise.
points being made. In fact, so he clearly told that you should be keeping a focus on mock analysis, and which we have been telling from our forum from scratch to finish every time. Like, in every meeting, we have been telling students, mock देना सिर्फ एक रस्म निभाना होता है, एनालिसिस करने से ही आप लोग आगे बढ़ोगे. But over here, within mock analysis, Onindo is making one very, very fair, interesting point. Identify the pattern of your errors. That is something which we all should do. So the problem is we just get stick to the errors, but we are not identifying the pattern of our errors. And perhaps because of that, the journey becomes different than the one who is successful in this particular path. Second point, he is making a fair point that majority of the institutes are taking the interviews, but they have a different look and feel over there. So you need to prepare institute wise over here. So if you're preparing institute wise over here, you may always be in a favorable position. I think a fantastic discussion with you, Anindo, and this interview will be seen by lot many students in years to come, and they're going to get lot from this particular interview. एक नारा आजकल बहुत चल रहा है, IPM मतलब.
Super great.
So IPM matlab SuperGrads is the talk of the town, and hashtag IPM matlab SuperGrads is there on social media. With this particular thought, thank you, thanks a lot, each and everyone, for listening in so sincerely. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.